Ted, how are you doing today?
Doing well. How are you?
Well, I'll tell you what, I have rearranged my schedule this week because of Court TV Live. I really have, because I know that I've got to be a part of this, because not only is it water cooler conversation, but everybody that we walk and live with in our communities are going to be talking about this, and I want to know where I can get my game on, and you guys are it.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's this is a big case. We're coming off another big one out in Massachusetts, the Kari Reeb trial, but this one has international attention, that's for sure.
Ted, I remember the days when we couldn't get this kind of action from TV. We had to rely on the artists to give us pictures and things. In fact, we recently did that with a presidential candidate. And the thing is that I love the way that you explain it to the person that doesn't understand it. You really do have us in mind while you're doing this.
Well, a lot of our viewers are for the first time watching a trial, and especially the younger ones. Us older folks go back to OJ. But to your point, and there's many jurisdictions, including the federal system, that cameras are not allowed in. And I always have been a proponent of cameras because it does open up the process. And if you disagree with a verdict and you watched it, that's different than disagreeing with a verdict that you didn't get to see the whole process. Because and you bringing up the Trump situation is a perfect example. Mm-hmm. You take there's not a lot of room in a courtroom, and yes, is it open to the public? Technically, yes. Are you going to jump on a plane and go watch some trial because you're interested? No. You rely on people's interpretations of the evidence that was presented. When the cameras are there, there's no relying on anything. You get to see it for yourself and judge for yourself whether or not justice has been done.
You use a big word that I have tried to find the definition of and try to put it into this, and that is interpretation. You are so right when it comes to that word. We're all getting our own interpretation unless it is physical pictures in movement. Yes,
and luckily for this trial, we'll have that. We'll have it gavel to gavel. Today is the last of the motion hearings, and Alec Baldwin, sitting outside the courthouse, just walked into the courthouse. So after today, jury selection begins tomorrow. We weren't expecting Alec Baldwin to show up today. I don't know. Maybe he ends up. Maybe there's a plea deal here. We'll find out. But short of that, it's going to be it's going to be a game on starting tomorrow with jury selection. And, hey, that could be tough, jury selection, because he's such a well-known defendant.
Yeah. I got to ask you kind of an innocent question, but at the same time, it's uneducated. Why is this happening to Alec Baldwin? He's just the actor, or is he more?
Technically, he's also a producer on the film Rust.
Yep.
But he says his role as producer was very limited, that it was only for overseeing scripts and having the ability to change scripts. He had nothing to do with hiring, safety, or any of that. And hey, there were 6 other producers on this film, and he's the only one being charged. But a lot of people agree with you. He's an actor. An armorer is responsible for safety. A first assistant director is responsible. An actor is an actor.
Yeah.
And Alec Baldwin argues the last people we want and the last line of defense for safety on a set is an actor or an actress. They just aren't equipped to also handle that as a responsibility.
Yeah. Is he being tried as an accomplice to a crime, or is he one of the main players of a crime?
He's being charged with involuntary manslaughter. And his role is being scrutinized by the state.
Yep.
And the argument is being made that he was so reckless with his conduct that he didn't care about the people around him and their safety. He pointed a gun. Yes, he didn't think it was loaded, but he should have known better to point any weapon at anybody and pull the trigger.
Yep.
And that's the crux of the state's case against Alec Baldwin.
I can't be the only one that's going back in history and thinking of The Crow and how that did not explode into what's going on today. And I wonder if people can still go back in history and bring this forward to say, hey, look, you forgot some things about this situation.
Well, that's interesting. You mentioned that there have been a couple Hollywood tragedies. John Eric Hexum shot himself playing Russian roulette with a blank, thinking that was not dangerous. And then Brandon Lee, on the set of The Crow, was shot and killed with a blank, but there was debris in the barrel, and a blank still produces a concussion, and that debris went into Brandon Crow's stomach and killed him. Oh. After Brandon Crow died, that changed the mood on a set. It changed the guidelines of how to handle firearms. Armorers were brought in for every set, on every set, and it basically it was a wake up call until Halyna Hutchins, and there's been a lot of talk of Brandon Lee over the last couple of years, and what happened there. It's different in this case. The live round was in that gun, which shouldn't have been there. But to your point, the Halyna Hutchins' death has brought back memories of Brandon Lee.
How does Judge Mary handle the fact that she is going to become the word of mouth? Everybody's going to be talking about Judge Mary. We already know that she turned down the motion to dismiss the case. But I mean, to me, that shows how serious she is about this. And so all eyes are going to be on Judge Mary.
Yes, and I thought during the Hannah Gutierrez trial, she ran a very good trial with thoughtfulness on her rulings, whether it was an objection or a major motion. She explained her decisions in a way that seemed fair. And, one side always disagreed with her decisions, but she's a good person to have at the helm, especially in a case like this that has so many eyeballs on it.
Yeah. How do you show prep? I'm a show prep whore. I've got to do my show prep. I mean, how are you doing something that is the unexpected?
Well, ours is a lot of reaction to what happened, and we watch together and react to what happened. The prep is part of the equation, but it's like a sporting event. You can prep all you want, get out there on the field or get into the courtroom, and something wild always seems to happen.
Because I mean, your reaction. I mean, you've got to talk like they used to do with professional bowling, or even with a golf commentator's kind of a conversation. You've got to keep your tones down until you get outside and you start breaking it down as they take their recess.
Yeah, well, you can't lie. Our cameras are in the courtroom, but we don't commentate from the courtroom. We just have a feed of the action. So I'm usually back in our studios back in Atlanta, Georgia. For high-profile cases, we'll come out on scene and host our shows. So that's what we're doing for this one. Yeah. But we definitely don't. The one thing you learn very early on covering criminal trials is do not anger the judge. So you don't go into a courtroom making noise or broadcasting. You sit back, and when you're in the courtroom, you sit there like a choir boy and don't say a word. And you learn the hard way, making noise or chewing gum or doing something that a judge doesn't like.
Can you imagine being that one that is chewing gum and she looks at you? Oh my God, Judge Mary's going to give you that look, man.
Yeah, and probably give a look to the bailiff too, and escort out.
Listeners need to know this is on Court TV Live. This is not clickbait, and I know that's what they're going to do. They're going to hear that story, and then they're going to go read clickbait. They need to get their true source from what you guys are doing with Court TV Live.
Hallelujah. Yeah, well, we do it for a living, and we cover trials from start to finish, and we let the viewer decide almost as though they're a juror in the case. You see the evidence, you watch. And, this is going to be a good one because Alec Baldwin likely will take the witness stand. Oh. And, he is a trained actor that's going to be able to take over that courtroom and have the attention of everybody, including the jurors who will be deciding his fate.
Well, we can only hope that he doesn't overdo it like Amber Heard did.
Yeah, Amber Heard, Johnny Depp was a doozy of a trial. That is for sure. And that is one that snuck up on us where we didn't realize all talk about show prep. There was no prepping for Amber on the witness stand or Johnny. It was something else, boy.
Dude, I got to tell you that when you guys do your action on Court TV Live, I really do base my life. I've taken off the next 3 days because I think this is it's only to watch what you guys are doing. How long is this going to last? And do I need to put in more days off next week because that's when things really start heating up?
Well, you need to figure out when the defense case starts because that's when Baldwin would take the stand.
Okay.
It's supposed to go 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks total. That's what the judge has allowed, and she's really determined to have this be a hard out. It's basically the length of the Hannah Gutierrez trial. So she's mirroring it off of that. The X factor is Baldwin, of course.
Isn't it also kind of odd how most viewers didn't know that there's a certain amount of time that a court case can go because they run out of time? Because I learned that from the Trump case. It's like, oh, they ran out of time. Hell, this show is over. Let's move on.
Well, what happens is when you impanel a jury, the jury is impaneled for a finite amount of time. You can't have, unless it's a grand jury, you can't have jurors be expected to serve longer than you've told them to. Yeah. So most courts will be very cautious because you never know what will delay a trial and have it run. So they pad in a little extra, beautiful 4 or 5 days extra on the jurors commit. But there is a clock going, and if you get past that time where the jury has been impaneled for, it could cause a mistrial. But they'll never just stop a trial because they ran out of time.
Yeah.
They'll typically try to move things along because everything is once you get to trial, everything's already been litigated. It's a matter of presentation. You know what both sides have. You have to share your evidence, and the judge then has to intercede. If things are going slow, you'll see a judge move it along, and they are the sort of the clock keeper, the timekeeper of trials, and they make sure they don't go on.
So do you think there's going to be a hot word out of this one? Because, I mean, with Johnny Depp, it was speculation. And I just wanted that on a shirt so badly. I want speculation on a shirt.
There were a lot of shirts made with the Johnny Depp. I don't know. We'll have to see. Wait and see what that is. Every trial, seems to have a theme that comes out of it. Yep. And usually you can pick it up during opening statements.
I would love to see the numbers of how your shows on Court TV Live are actually educating future jurors. It's not one of those things, I don't want to go do it. It's like, okay, I saw what they did on Court TV Live. I want to give this a shot.
Yeah, well, careful what you wish for.
Oh, I've been there 3 times, dude. I've been there.
It's being a juror is tough, and if you have the person's freedom in your hands, and sometimes in a death case, their life in your hands, and I'm always amazed how well people do in terms of coming together, taking it seriously. Very rarely do you see someone. You have the sleeping juror every now and then during tedious testimony, but for the most part, the system works real well, and it does because people who show up to the courthouses responding to that jury summons take it seriously, and they listen, and they come to a verdict.
Are we going to see Hannah on the stand? Because that would be a hot item, too.
It would be. The state wants to bring her on. The defense doesn't want her on. She's on both witness lists. She's fighting it, along with her attorney, Jason Bowles, because she still has an appeal hanging in the balance. And it'll be up to the judge to decide whether or not she will be compelled to testify. The state would like her to take the stand. She does not want to.
Wow. So what do we need to know about Alex and Luke? Because I think these are going to be two hot names as well, because they're going to be in action, and I think that the viewers need to understand what their name is in this game.
Oh, Spiro. Oh, the lawyers. Oh,
yeah,
yes.
Those dudes. Yeah, those guys that just happen to just show up.
Yeah, well, every case, and you mentioned the judge, but every case has the characters of the attorneys, and the Baldwin is represented by a couple very, very impressive attorneys. They also have a New Mexico attorney, local attorney, which he needs, who is, by all accounts, people I've been talking to, very sharp. And then you have Kari Morrissey, who is on the tail end of her career and is a very unique person who has really dug her heels in on this case. She tried Halyna Gutierrez successfully, got the 18 months, offered Baldwin the deal here, and he turned it down for no jail time. If he'd have pled guilty to involuntary manslaughter, he would have just had probation like David Hall's. But Morrissey is a tough cookie, and she, off camera, outside the presence of the jury, boy, she can swear like a sailor and hang with anybody. She's a real competitor. So, yeah, you've got your high-priced guns on the Baldwin side, but don't underestimate the prosecutor, Kari Morrissey, either.
On Court TV Live, will there ever be a moment where you and everybody else on the team, you have those times when everybody makes that facial expression inside that courtroom that all of a sudden will be a part of history forever?
Yeah. There are certain moments that just catch you off guard, and this case might have a few of them. Especially if Baldwin takes the stand. I think that's the X factor here. If he takes the stand, he can make or break the case. In any case, once a defendant takes the stand, all of the testimony goes out the window. Jurors are literally just evaluating whether they believe or like the person spinning their tail.
Wow. Now, will it only be on Court TV Live? And the only reason why I bring that up is because people are in constant motion, and so are you guys, because it's live. Well, because, I was listening to the Johnny Depp thing. I swear to God, iHeartRadio had a link up to it. Will you guys be doing anything like that as well as we continue to go on?
Yes. So we are the pool camera. It's our cameras, our feed. We provide the feed for anybody who wants it, comes out to the courthouse. So if you would like to broadcast the trial, you just come out here and we'll give you the feed. It's we don't own the footage of this. We just provide it.
Well, I'm so proud of what you guys do at Court TV Live, man. You're controlling my days off, and I love it.
Make sure you monitor when the defense starts.
Absolutely. Please come back to this show. I don't know if you're going to be doing future episodes as we get deeper and deeper into this, but I really would love for you to be a part of this circle so that we can continue to be better students.
Sounds good. Would love it.
You be brilliant today, okay?
You too. That's a good goal.